Hello, everyone. This is Venom, and we are here with some sad news from Bungie. Actually, not even sad, infuriating news from Bungie. Before I get too into it, though, I do want to apologize. I know I haven't got some videos out yet this week. I am actually in the middle of redoing the studio. I'm putting up some soundproofing, which ought to help mitigate some of the sound issues I was having before. I got a new headset, new mic, new webcam, all the stuff I was having issues with before. So, we should be having some more videos come out soon. And I've also finished up the Dontrell playthrough for Final Fantasy XIV. I will have that up on the channel here in the next couple of days as well. It's just a lot of editing to get that out. There was a lot of cuts I had to make in it, but all that will be out here soon. That being said, this is an article coming to us from Bungie. It's from Pete Parsons. It was posted 9 hours ago, and it says a new path for Bungie. Now, this is going to be a one take. I'm not going to go through and do a lot of editing on this one because this is important news to get out to you guys. I'm going to try to get through this very quickly, and we're going to talk about what it means for the future and what my thoughts are on it. It says, this morning, I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. That means that beginning today, 220 of our worlds will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. I want to make sure everybody looks at the date here too. It is currently July 31st. Bungie pulled this bullshit before when they laid off the 100 people before. They fired them at the end of the month, which fucked up their health benefits and other benefits. Now, they talk about that later on in the article, but I want everybody to note the date on this as well. It is the end of the month on 7/31, and yeah, I'm not liking what I'm hearing so far. These actions reflect every level of the company, including most of our executive and senior leader roles. Today is a difficult and painful day, especially for our departing colleagues, all of which have made important and valuable contributions to Bungie. Our goal is to support them with the utmost care and respect. For everyone affected by this job reduction, we will be offering a generous exit package, including severance, bonus, and health coverage. I am curious as to what that actual coverage is, considering how Bungie did their layoffs before. They were firing the 100 people and doing it at the end of the month where it screwed up all their benefits, and them doing it again at the end of the month now. They were saying that they're giving people a bonus package, a bonus or a generous healthcare package and bonus package. I'd be curious to see what that package actually is for the rank and file employees. I'm sure the senior leaders, the executives, probably, one, I'm pretty sure they knew this was going to happen to begin with. I think they knew that Final Shape was not going to save them from getting taken over from Sony, and we'll go over that later on down the line. But I'd be really curious to see how, quote-unquote, generous this actually is, or if they just got fucked over again. Or Bungie basically offered them a little bit of money and made them sign an NDA. I'm curious to see how that's going to work out or what that information is. Hopefully we can get some information on that, but let's continue on. I realize all of this is hard news, especially following the success we have seen with the Final Shape, but as we've navigated the broader economic realities over the last year, and after exhausting all other mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic goals and viable financials. We are committing to two other major changes today, and we believe will support our focus, leverage Sony's strengths, and create new opportunities for Bungie talent. Here's the part that's interesting for me. First, we are deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles, roughly 12%, into Sony over the next few quarters. Sony has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles as many of our people are as possible, enabling us together to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction of force. Basically, it sounds like Sony's taking over. It sounds like Sony's taking over a bit more. They're taking a bigger role. That's what it sounds like. The deepening of your integration. Sony is basically taking over because Final Shape did not pull them out of the hole they were in. That's what this reads to me. Again, I'm not privy to all the information behind the scenes, but to me, as an outside observer, that's what that sounds like. Second, we are working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. I don't know what that is. I don't think they're talking about Marathon. An action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe. Maybe it is Marathon. I don't know. But it looks like they're setting up a new studio, which is... It's going to be set up within PlayStation, so it sounds like PlayStation setting up a studio, and they're taking some of Bungie's talent to go set this up. But that's, again, just my thoughts on this. This would be a time of tremendous change for our studio. Let's unpack how we ended up in this position. It's important to understand how we got here. Now, I'm curious to see how much fluff they put in here and how much they tell the truth. For over 5 years, it has been our goal to ship games in 3 enduring global franchises. To realize that ambition, we set up several incubation projects, each seated with senior development leaders from our existing teams. We eventually realized that this model stretched our talent too thin too quickly. It also forced our studio support structures to scale to a larger level than we could realistically support, given our two primary products in development, Destiny and Marathon. Sorry, you can probably hear my wife singing to our daughter upstairs. Don't got time to cut it out, so just ignore it. I do got to get through this because this is important information to get out there. Normally I'd be recording at a different time, so if you hear it, don't worry about it. My wife is just singing to our daughter and playing with her son. So additionally, in 2023, our rapid expansion ran headlong into a broad economic slowdown, a sharp downturn in the games industry, our quality missed with Destiny 2, Destiny 2 Lightfall, and they need to give both the Final Shape and Marathon the time needed to ensure both projects deliver at the quality our players expect and deserve. Were overly ambitious, our financial safety margins were subsequently exceeded, and we began running in the red. After this new trajectory became clear, we knew we had to change our course and speed, and we did everything we could to avoid today's outcome. Even with the exhaustive efforts undertaken across our leadership and product teams to resolve our financial challenges, these steps were simply not enough. As a result, today we must say goodbye to incredible talent, colleagues, and friends. This will be a challenging time at Bungie, and we'll need to help our team navigate these changes in the weeks and months ahead. This will be a hard week, and we know that our team will need time to process, to ask questions, and to absorb this news. Today and over the next several weeks, we will host team meetings and town halls, team breakdown sessions, and private individual sessions to ensure we are keeping our communication open and transparent. Bungie will continue to make great games. We still have over 850 team members building Destiny and Marathon, and we will continue to build amazing experiences that exceed our players' expectations. There will be a time to talk about our goals and projects, but today is not that day. Today our focus is on supporting our people. Pete. Okay, a lot of information that just was given to us. So it looks like the Final Shape was not enough to pull Bungie out of the hole they were in. Now, Pete kind of mentioned here some of the issues that were haunting their game, some of the issues that were causing them to go in the red. Now, this was a lot of corporate talk. A lot of it was that, we found out that basically the execs were not listening to the developers. They were not fixing the issues that the players wanted. And this is specifically talking about Destiny 2, I might add. Destiny 2, we found out, was essentially how Bungie was funding all their other games, too. Now, I do not want to see people lose their jobs. I really don't. I really hate that. And right now, we're up to 320 people basically being fired from Bungie, basically because of the failures of the upper management. Now, I don't like seeing people lose their jobs. However, I also don't like the fact that Destiny 2 is basically being used to fund other games at the expense of Destiny 2's quality. And Destiny 2 has been going through some quality issues up and down throughout the years. Again, there is a cycle of Destiny 2. Bungie cooks, they put out some excellent content, then for about a year or two, things go bad, PvP has issues, we get shitty expansions, kind of like Lightfall, Curse of Osiris, stuff like that, and then they come out with some amazing expansion like the Final Shape, which again, even in light of all this, Final Shape is definitely still the best expansion we've ever had for Destiny 2, I believe. If not, then it's definitely in the top 2, I would say. I don't think, I think maybe Forsaken might have, some people might like Forsaken more than Final Shape. I think that might be a legitimate argument some people could make. Personally, I think it's a Final Shape, hands down. Now, that being said, I don't like the fact that money was basically being taken from Destiny 2, or Destiny 2 is being used to fund other games at the expense of Destiny 2. If you're going to use your main game to fund other projects, which is how you would normally do that, that's fine. You want to make sure that your main project is actually, stable. You want to make sure that the players are actually liking what's going on. You want to make sure you're listening to their issues. And what we found out was not only was Destiny 2 basically being used to fund other games because Bungie wanted to spread out, which again, nothing wrong with that, but we found out that the executives were basically telling the devs, screw you when it came to fixing some of these issues or giving the community a lot of the things that they wanted. Now, we saw what happened when Bungie was basically backed into a corner, and that gave us the Final Shape. We got a delay on it, obviously, but they gave us a lot of good content. We got some amazing story content. We got some awesome features. We got an amazing end to the Light and Dark saga, which was great, but it looks like it was not enough. And unfortunately, it looks like this is something that there's nothing that any of us, as far as the community members, can actually do besides, boycotting Bungie or something like that. I'm talking like this is something that's just out of our hands, and I'm pretty sure this was out of our hands even before the Final Shape. I think Bungie was probably in such bad shape that even the Final Shape was not going to mitigate what's happening here. Or maybe the Final Shape mitigated some of these losses because, again, they're losing 17%. They're firing 17% of their workforce. I want to know what would happen if Final Shape did worse, because that would probably be a lot worse as far as how many people got fired. And that's if the studio didn't close or get completely sucked in by Sony. Now, this wording here, we're deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment. This right here is basically corporate speak to me, saying that Sony is taking a bigger role in the company. And again, it's pretty bad when Sony's coming off looking like the good guy in the gaming industry, because Sony are not good guys at all. So the fact that they're coming off looking like the reasonable good guys is pretty bad. And it looks like right now they're going to be taking over or having a hand more in the company, a lot more than they are now. Now, they also said something interesting here. They're working on integrating 155 of their roles, or 12%, into Sony, and they're basically setting up a new studio. Now, they don't say what the project is that they're working on, but part of me wonders if, one, if this is actually just going to be for this single project, because they did say it was going to be for a new game they're working on. Oh, and here it is right here. We're working with PlayStation Studios to spin out, here we go, one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe. I wonder if that's Marathon, and if not, then I wonder what game it actually is. And then two, I am wondering if this integration here might be the beginnings of Bungie actually being shut down and PlayStation basically just taking over Destiny 2 and Marathon and anything else Bungie's got. I marked this date, marked this article, because I do wonder if this is just the start of it. Is this the seed of a new studio within Sony to take over everything going on with Bungie? So, yeah, I mean, this is extremely shitty. They say they've still got over 850 members, but keep in mind they've already fired not just 220, they fired over 320 people because of the ineptitude of the executives at Bungie. And keep in mind, these are the same execs that are apparently were quote-unquote going to be leaving after the Final Shape, or after the year of the Final Shape, for other things. We got that wording. I gotta find that article again, but we already knew that the executives were leaving one way or another. Now it makes me wonder if they kind of saw the writing on the wall, or if they knew ahead of time that, hey, nothing that the Final Shape can do is going to help this game recover. It's going to help the studio recover. And again, the game's in a pretty decent shape right now, but the studio apparently isn't. I'm wondering if the execs didn't know that already, and that's why they were already making their preparations to escape, as it were. And I mean, it looks like right here, a lot of those execs, those positions might be the ones that are leaving here, because it says some of the roles are from the executive and leader roles. So I don't know. I'd be curious. I'm curious to see what those roles are that are gone. I mean, last time this happened, we saw a significant portion of the Bungie security team gone. So I'm curious as to what roles exactly they're gonna get rid of now. I mean, without your security team, what other roles are going to be leaving? I'm very curious about that. I am very sad for the Bungie employees. My heart goes out to you. It really does. I work in corporate America myself, so I have definitely been through things like layoffs as well. I've seen it. I've been through things like that. It is very shitty, especially when it comes not because of necessarily the economy, which is kind of what's hinted at in this article, when we know that it was actually came down to corporate greed and mismanagement of the game in the studio. So that is unfortunate. Like I said, make sure to show your support to the employees who are losing their jobs right now. And again, this is not something that I want to put on Bungie as a whole. When I say Bungie, I'm talking the executives who were in charge of all this, who caused all this to happen. So Bungie's future's up in the air right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think anybody does. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the next coming weeks, because I think this might just be the beginning of it. And I'm very curious to see what this deepening relationship with Sony Interactive is really going to look like. I think it's more than likely going to be the beginnings of Sony taking over in general, and I think that new studio they're going to be working on might be what's handling Destiny 2 going forward, maybe after 2025 or 2026. We'll see. But that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you for coming by. Please leave a like on the video if you like what we're doing here. Please sub to the channel if you love what we're doing, and I will see you all later.